But how did we really get Doodle Jump to the top? We trapped a rocket. Did you guys see it fly up? Or we missed that? Let's do it again. All right. Come on. No? All right. So we strapped a jetpack on his back. And I'm only actually half joking when I say that. Jetpack was one of the updates that we did to the game, and people loved it. And one of the big ideas about Doodle Jump and our entire Lima Sky strategy has been this idea of continuous small updates. And we'll talk about that later. So what I want to do now is sort of talk about the big picture of how Doodle Jump got to the top and how you can be successful on the App Store and what you need to know and understand. So first of all, understand the platform. You have the console games which are played on the couch, which are played with these complex devices that have all these controls. But then you have the iPhone, which is played on the subway, in school during the break, some guy on the beach or wherever. It's something that you take out for a couple of minutes and you play. It's not necessarily the best device for a deep, engaging, 3-hour gaming sessions. It's really 30 seconds at a time. Another thing that we realized early on is what I mentioned just a minute ago, was that the updates really made a big difference. So these are the sales of Bubble Wrap app from day one up to maybe a month or two in the cycle. What we did was we initially released it as just a single sheet of bubble wrap that you can punch and make sound, right? Then we were like, okay, let's add some features to it. Let's make it so you can change the size of the bubble, slide it. To our surprise, we put the update out. Wow, the sales go up. And then they shoot up a little bit, then they go up, down again. And up, and down, and up, and down. So what it really gives you is this, it gives you this idea, it gives you this encouragement to actually create games and apps that have less content initially, but that you keep on adding content. And what we've done is we've applied that from the beginning as part of the design decision to Animatch. So Animatch, as I was telling you earlier, is this simple matching game for kids. Initially, we launched with only 10 animals. That's it. That was one screen of animals, no more. We could have launched with 30, which we ended up later on, having in the end. But what that would mean is that we would spend more time working on that game initially. We really had no idea what kind of reception the game will have, whether people like it or not. And we knew from Bubble Wrap that with each update, we would actually sell more copies. So we decided that we would add a new animal with each update and release an update every week. Kind of felt a little bad because it seemed like we were, cheating the system or whatnot. And Apple has since removed this notion, which really helped a lot of the games with the updates, which was the fact that every time you put out an update, you would get to the top of the new releases list. You would gain more visibility. But what we found out was the kids were really excited to see what animal will be added next. We actually got emails from parents saying that, oh, my kids are really excited, waiting for the next Friday to see what will you add next. So we could have, like I said, put in 30 animals right from the get-go. People will play the games for 5 minutes or whatnot and completely forget about it. This way we've created sort of this continuous process where we kept the game alive and we kept the interest of kids because they kept going back and back to see, okay, there's a new update, what's the animal there? Let me play the game again. And naturally, we actually applied that same concept to Doodle Jump. From the very beginning, the idea was that we would add constantly and frequently new updates. And with Doodle Jump being so successful, we've taken that to the entire new level, where we have different themes now that pretty much change the look and feel of the entire game. We've been adding new content, such as new power-ups, new enemies, and so on. So you'll see later on when I mention about how long it has taken us to take Doodle Jump, we're still working on it because it's in the process of being continuously updated. So the way I like to describe this is that what we've seen in the traditional, well, let's call it traditional game industry so far, or the box game industry, is this idea of sequels. You release a game, if it's good, you create sequel. You create Halo 2, 3, 4, and so on. So this is very much like the movie industry. You have your Superman 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Part of the reason for that is that box content has traditionally been difficult to update or make changes to. Once you actually put it out on the shelves, that's it. So the only thing you can really do is release a version 2 or the next sequel. Problem is a lot of bigger publishers and developers forgot the fact that there is no such restriction on the mobile platforms and have still been applying that same model of version 1, version 2, and kind of ignoring this hunger for continuous content additions to the games, which has been the advantage that we've had. So the approach we have taken to a lot of our games and apps is this idea of TV shows, right? You start with a pilot, create a simple, self-contained game or an app, you put it out there. It doesn't have all the